welcome to episode 39 of the Penultimate Game Show. Yes, we've changed the title of the show. Today's topics are a literal shit ton of video game news and game of the year so far. So, before we get into it, if you're watching this on Twitch, feel free to give us a sub and help support us and see more great content. Check out the website, thepenultimateconquest.com, to see our VODs and even see the schedule for the rest of the month. For those of you that don't know who I am, my name is Ruben, the director of this channel. Today's guests are the Titanfall Master, host of the Players Club podcast, and the man who hasn't played a real Legend of the Zelda game, Emmett Watkins
Okay.
Jr.
Hey, how's it going? I refute that. Breath of the Wild counts, but that is the only one, so maybe get mad at me for that. But
Again,
I played a Zelda.
I said a real
Only 10 hours
Zelda
of it, but
game. Okay.
yeah, okay. We'll argue about that later.
Okay. To my right, I want to say my right or my left. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's where I am on the stream.
Okay, good. I have with me the man who knows everything about JRPGs and fighting games, John Rivera. John, how's it going today?
It's going pretty good. I'm gonna go and say like a decent amount of JRPGs and fighting games because I've seen some people on the internet and they'll get mad that I don't know. Oh, this game that never came out of Japan that you can play with a fan translation, blah blah blah, or how to do like a frame perfect cancel in a fighting game. I'm not
John,
informed.
listen,
But I'm pretty up there.
you know what I say to those
It's okay.
people?
I can't slide cancel in Titanfall 2. It's fine.
You know what I say to those people, John? Fuck
Uh-huh.
them. That's what I say to them.
Okay.
Yes, we're starting off this
Here we
show
go.
very, very, we're getting hot
Hostile.
And heavy. Yes, very hostile.
The hot takes will flow.
Yes. If you missed it, check out the new episode of the Marvel Mondays Initiative, which was our Loki episode 4 review, which got pretty insane, you know? Episode 5 blew my mind, but we're not talking about Loki today. Tessa's playing some more Resident Evil 8 on Friday night. The question is, will these vampire women ever get their hands on Ethan? Find out Friday night. 9 o'clock.
Gotta hope so.
I mean, for Ethan's sake, I really hope so. Like, he's so bland.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, boy.
We got rained out last Thursday for the Mario Pro Golf Summer 2021 Tourney Cup Extravaganza. So hopefully we can do it later this month. I know I said later this week, Monday, but some things are happening. So, you know. And also, last but not least, go check out Tessa's playthrough of Tome, a photo adventure. The demo, super great, good stuff. So, gentlemen, let's get into it. Our the first topic for today. Nintendo finally showed us the new model of the Switch OLED model. It's not what everybody predicted, the Switch Pro with 4K and DLSS, but it's what we got today. Well, this week. The new things for this model are the OLED screen, the wide stand in the back, and the new design for the dock and Ethernet port, and 66 gigs of storage, which is an upgrade from the original, which was 32. What are our thoughts on this? John, let's start off with you.
So I've been following Nintendo since like I was in 5th grade and I got a Game Boy Advance. This is entirely expected for me. Like, I know there was leaks about how there could be a Switch Pro with a 4K DLSS thing going on. I was always a little bit skeptical about that because I'm just so used to like your DS Lites, your Game Boy Advance SPs, which are the same thing but with a minor like hardware changes to like the casing or like the screen. And that's exactly what we're getting with the OLED screen, little better handstand and stuff. But something I find interesting is that apparently Jason Schreier and more Jeff Grubb are still saying that they are still getting reports from companies that work with Nintendo saying that they got to make their games 4K ready if they're releasing in 2022. and that
Yeah.
there is some kind of 4K through DLSS capable Switch coming in 2022. So I do find that kind of interesting, but this is not what that is.
No, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, I actually heard something similar. What was it? I think Jeff Grubb said himself that the original rumor that he had reported on, he always heard was going to be 2022 anyway.
Right.
So that 4K and everything isn't until, at least that year. The main thing I'm surprised by, because like I wasn't sitting here waiting, chomping at the bit to buy a new Switch. I bought the secondary revision that had the extra battery. Like I'm already having that perk. I really don't need an OLED screen. I really don't need a
Yeah.
white console stand, nor do I need Ethernet because I'm not on my Switch like that. But yeah, overall, it's a weird thing that this thing got announced the way it did, and it's $50 more than the regular Switch, which feels like especially for Nintendo, they like to be not necessarily accessible with how you play their games, but they like to be accessible from a price standpoint.
Right.
So to make a new Switch that costs more seems a little bit weird. And also, all the features in that new Switch, I could just play this bad boy, the Vita, and just get a lot of the features that
Yeah.
are on that Switch. And the one I'm
Mhm.
holding is the LED version, so not the OLED screen. But the original Vita had no OLED screen, so it's
Oh, I
like
have the OLED screen Vita. It's pretty nice.
here you go. I would have had wine too. I had the white one, and then I dropped it in a cooler at Latin convention. But
Oof.
in any case, yeah, it's just really a trip. I got a kick out of seeing the memes that people were making. Just a lot of I don't like seeing people outraged, but just a lot of the bewilderment and disappointment, and yet another weird Nintendo decision.
Yeah.
That's always entertaining to wake up to, and so that's like my big highlight on it. But we'll get a new Switch later, and I'm actually relieved that I don't have to buy another new console this year because I'm still trying to find a Series X.
Same here. Same here.
Hmm.
So I got the notification from Wario 64 as I usually do when this video dropped, and he was just giving us all the descriptions, and I was like, "Oh my God, is it finally here? Is it the 4K Switch?" And no, it wasn't. But man, oh man, does that Switch not look pretty in white? And
Mhm.
Yeah,
I
it looks
have
nice.
I have the the first model of the Switch, and these Joy Cons, man, they suck. So I might be.
I replaced mine. I got one of the the pair two blue one set. So I didn't like the
Mm.
gray ones, so
Yeah,
the
but
red
isn't
and
that the
blue.
Fortnite set? Am I wrong?
No, I guess it's just two of the blue Joy-Con.
Oh, the light
Um,
blue, like the
yeah,
neon
the
blue.
the red
Yeah,
and blue one, but
I
just
need.
two of the blue one.
Yeah, I need something a
Hmm.
good color.
Mm-hmm.
I bought I don't even have them here. I had just switched out the casing of mines for
Mm-hmm.
the Game Boy Color ones, where you
The
could see
atomic purple.
not the atomic purple, but like just like I think that was a regular gray one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, just clear. Okay.
yeah, just clear, and it was perfect. And then that's when
Mm.
the problem started, and I was like, "Fucking Nintendo."
Oh no.
But
Yeah.
it was okay. It is what it is. But I'm down for it. Like I could use a new Switch. Is it what I wanted? No, but that's Nintendo. That's what Nintendo does. I'm still waiting for them to say, "Hey, one more thing. We got the 4K 3DS."
Oh.
You
Oh my
I'm just
God.
waiting for it.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
don't mean a 4K new 2DS XL?
No, I mean it should have been a 4K DS.
I'm jumping out the window on
Oh,
that one.
yeah.
It's not gonna
My
happen, I
God.
know, but like
Mhm.
I'm very surprised that they decided to. They could have ended on a bang. We're bringing back the original Game Boy, but this time with an OLED screen. That would have been great. That would have been
That
great.
would have been even
I
stupider than this.
It would have been. It would have been.
I think a lot of expectations could have been handled if this was the first announcement at their E3.
Yeah.
Like get it out there, like get people. I guess it did lead with the Metroid announcement, but like maybe save that version of the trailer for the end, and at the beginning just be like, "Hey, look, it's not 4K, it's an OLED screen. Get it out of there," and then eventually you show off Metroid and a bunch of the other stuff because the rest of that show was great.
Yeah.
And then people will be like, yeah, the OLED screen is kind of whatever, but Breath of the Wild 2, new Metroid game, WarioWare, I
Hmm.
think it wouldn't have made the show worse.
And, I don't know if it would have made, because I think a lot of people came away from that Nintendo Direct during E3 very, very happy. I think if you started with the reveal of this Switch, then it would have made the pill,
A
this
little harder
Switch,
to
easier to
swap.
swallow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have made
Oh,
it
you
easier
think
to
it would have
swallow,
been
but
easier?
yeah, I think so. Because think of it like this: we're all excited, we're all hyped up. We've heard these Nintendo Switch Pro rumors. We're waiting for Zelda, hoping we still think it's gonna come this year. We're waiting for
Mhm.
Metroid, anything, all this stuff. And the first thing you see that starts off that presentation is this new Switch, and it confirms the rumors, but also isn't what we wanted. Everyone would be upset, but then the rest of that would be, oh, but we got to see some more Zelda. Oh, but we got to see Advance Wars is back. Oh, Metroid Dread is back. Like, it's low key a conference of dreams almost, with a lot of smaller dreams getting finally revealed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think that would have made people not more excited for the new revision, but more accepting of it. Because right now we're just dropping it cold turkey on a random morning,
Yeah.
and it's just like, what? And then it just, people instantly are just mad. It's just rage, and there's nothing to cancel out that rage. So yeah.
I think what they needed to do was, get ahead of the rumor. Like, hey, this isn't happening. Like, there is no 4K Switch planned, but we are
Mhm.
releasing something pretty soon that
There's
will.
there's a term they use that like upcoming, like they use it. Nintendo will straight up say we have no like current plans for such and such thing, and then announce it like a year later.
Right.
They could have done
Yeah.
something like that, and then people have been like, I thought there wasn't a 4K Switch, and they're like, ah, but in the recent future, and this is the distant future because it's a year later or something like that.
Well, what I'm saying is like instead, I know they have said like in the past they have said like we have no plans to comment on blah blah
Yeah.
blah. But like you could have given us a heads up. Jay, just a heads up. We're planning on releasing an updated model of the Switch. Here's this list of the specs, like something along those lines
But
because
they just like to keep things close to the chest, though.
they
That's the
do, and
problem.
that's the problem.
Even
Where's Mother
and that's
3?
even
Where's
for
Mother
other
3?
gaming places. Like
Yeah.
Nintendo is one of the more closed up places compared to other places like Capcom or
Yeah.
Ubisoft.
Yeah. Anyway.
True. True. Nintendo's
Next.
gonna Nintendo.
Yeah, exactly. Next topic. Sony made two acquisitions this week: Nix's and Housemark. Nix's is known for quote a number of high-profile PC ports in the past, working on Deus Ex, Tomb Raider, Thief, and Hitman for PC, and that's coming from the Forbes article that I took from. I don't. I have the link, but I'm not going to say the link. While Housemark is known for Super Stardust HD, Dead Nation, and most recently Returnal. Thoughts? Let's start off with Emmett. What do you think
I'm
about this?
happy about this. I am. I'm like a low key Housemark fan, where I like Dead Nation a whole lot. I like what is it, Super Stardust HD quite a bit. But then you got your stuff like your Alien Nation, your Outland stuff that didn't quite hit with me. Yeah, they make great games, and I've yet to play Returnal, but I'm sure that's going to be a great game as well. And I'm really, I guess, a little bit proud to see them take their arcade roots and put them into a AAA third
Right.
person shooter
Yeah.
and still have that same vibe. So, good on them. And it seems like they're handsomely rewarded for it. Now they got some financial security on behalf of Sony. Hopefully it stays secure, because I know, I'm as a longtime PlayStation fan, I know Sony to sometimes shut down places that we love.
Japan
Japan
Studio.
Studio,
R.I.P.
yeah,
Yep.
recently went. Even before that, you got places like Zipper Interactive. They went down. Honestly, to no fault of their own, if I'm being honest, because they were making great games the whole time. Then they made Mag, which was their one flop. But then they were like, all right, we're gonna come back with SOCOM 4. Everyone loves SOCOM.
Oh,
Let's do it. And then the
oh,
PSN out, and that was it. And then Sony said, "Hey, make this Vita game," and they did as they were asked, and then were shuttered the next year. So, God, it really sucks. So I know Sony can sometimes shut down developers in the case where, On the other hand, Microsoft, they don't tend to shut down developers. They'll just turn them into something else. Like Rare, when they first bought them, they were just a shovelware team until
Never forget
Phil
Rare.
Spencer got in and was like, "Hey, let's not do this." So, happy for them. I don't know if this means we're gonna get, because I don't know if I want just a straight up Returnal sequel. Because I still haven't played Returnal. I will eventually, but I'd like to see what else they can do now that we've seen. Because I think of them as the dual
Dual
stick
stick.
shooter people.
Yeah.
And Returnal
Mhm.
feels so similar to that. I'd like to see them do something completely different. I don't know what that is, but hopefully it'll surprise me. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Okay. John.
So I am happy for Housemark, and I think this is a good decision, and it makes sense for them. When I first heard that they were like saying, "Hey, we're taking a turn away from arcade games. They just don't sell. People mostly get them through either PlayStation Plus or through some on discount, and that's not profitable for what Sony wants." I was hoping they'd start to make Switch games because I
Mm.
think Super Stardust HD, Dead Nation, Resogun, if you made them like lower parity, like in terms of like visuals, but kept like the gameplay. There's nothing about Resogun if you just made it less voxel based that you can't do on Switch. I think they would have sold a lot better on those platforms. They seem to have been more interested in continuing to work with Sony as a publisher because they they did a battle royale and then they canceled it and did Returnal, and that's doing well for them. Uh, Emmett, you were saying you want to see more from Housemark. I believe there was an announcement or a tweet somewhere saying that the next game they're making is a new IP. That they're
Oh,
not
okay.
working on a Returnal sequel. I think it was I forget his name, but the
Like Herman Holst.
yeah, Herman Hulse tweeted that
Ah,
out, I believe.
wow. Okay. Well,
So
that's good
I
news for
am
me.
Yeah, I do also want to see where Housemark can go because I think Outland, even though I didn't love it from a gameplay perspective, there were a lot of cool like visual and story ideas in there, and Returnal also seemed to like expand on that with being more of a story based game. So I'd like to see more out of them from a narrative perspective.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Every time I talk to Christian Macias, he tells me Returnal is the game of the year. So I have yet to also I have also yet to check it out. So I will be picking that up shortly. But I'm excited for them. Like Housemark has made a shit ton of games that I love. Super Stardust HD, Super Stardust Delta. Goddamn. Helldivers was pretty good. Uh,
Wait, is Helldivers them?
I think so.
I don't, I don't think Helldivers was that.
I could be
Yeah, I
thinking
want to
of
say that's a.
somebody else.
Oh,
Arrowhead Game
Yeah,
Studios.
no,
Yeah.
that's not what I was thinking of.
that's it.
Sorry, I take that back
Yeah.
then.
S-
Resogun.
Yeah, I think it was Resogun. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Twin stick
Best
shooters, just
best launch game on the PS4.
perfect. Like
Mm-hmm.
they know what they're doing. Just keep up the good work, and I'm hoping to see what that new IP is. Hopefully, it's good. Guerrilla
I'm
Games,
sure
They,
it will
step your
be.
they
game up.
objectively have more hits than misses, and some of their misses aren't even so much misses as, "Hey guys, it's Next Machina," and people are like, "Oh, I'm playing The Last of Us Part 2. Sorry guys."
Yeah. So like,
Like, no offense to
Yeah,
that game, quality game. It just came out like the month before The Last of Us Part 2, and
yeah,
those reviews dropped like a month early. So it was like, ugh,
yeah.
got
yeah,
lost in the
yeah.
weeds.
Nothing you can do about that.
Which is exactly why now they make stuff like Returnal. So good
Yeah.
for them.
Speaking of Christian, I have him here in the chat. He says, "Free Emmett. He ain't gone or anything. I just miss that dude." So,
Okay, well then I'll
That's
talk to the
great.
warden then. Thank you.
okay.
That's great.
um, also, we saw. Well, I don't know. I'm pretty sure you guys saw that Blue Point was mistakenly shown off as an acquisition
Yes.
by Sony Japan. And
Yes.
when do we think that's dropping? Tomorrow? State of play.
I ain't gonna
State
say
of play.
tomorrow.
Um,
That sounds too important.
Yeah.
But here,
I
I'll let you say your piece first. Go ahead.
so the state of play seems very explicitly.
Yeah,
What's that game?
just Deathloop.
Yeah.
Deathloop focus. I don't think they would say, "Hey, we're focusing on this one game that is the last exclusive we're getting from Bethesda." Well, whenever the horror game comes out, but
Yeah.
I don't
Tokyo.
think they would say we're going to focus on a game that is technically a competitor now. If they were going to do like some dank surprise announcements, like a game from Bluepoint. I think they would have said that we've got plenty of like first party titles and acquisition news.
Yeah.
And make it sound like, hey, you know how E3 was last week ago? JK guys, this is E3. Sony state of play for reals. Um I think it will be inevitable though. I think it'll be much like how they announced Housemarque, and when they announced Insomniac, we're just out of the blue one day they'll be like, "Hey, we own these guys now."
Yeah.
I think they'll probably wait until whatever their next project is if they can start teasing it or show it
Hyper
for
Escape
real.
remake.
I'm
No.
very into the idea of bringing back these old 3D platforming games. Like I'd be more than okay with that. I'm
Crash did
very
it. Crash. Well, all I gotta say is
Crash,
Crash did
Spyro.
it. Did spectacularly. Spyro did it. I don't know. I can't really say for sure that
Spyro was pretty good. A lot of
Spyro,
people bought Spyro.
It's
Spyro was
sold.
pretty good. They even did a Crash 4, guys. Come on. You're telling
Yeah,
me just do an ape escape. Come
Man.
on, just do it.
I'm
I
bummed
mean,
out that we didn't get more medieval. I was hoping for a true like medieval sequel.
I think
I
you're the
I just
only
like that
person.
skeleton man. Like I was picturing like Dark Souls for babies,
Oh
like a
god.
spooky
Woo.
game. It's all about slow attacks, but it's like cutesy as fuck.
Hmm.
That might actually be a good idea. I'm not gonna completely shoot down that one, but to
I'll
take that
I'll
alley oop here.
I'll send an email to Herman Holtz. I'll be like,
Yeah.
hey, medieval, it's Dark Souls but for kids.
Hey Herman, we got $1 million, okay, $10,000 idea.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh boy. But yeah, for me, my whole thing is because I've this is actually the thing I got most excited on the day that they announced that they bought Housemark. Because respect to Housemark, I like them, but Blue Point getting purchased is such a way more interesting, exciting proposition. I was hypotheorizing, I guess, on Twitter when all that got leaked. I
Yeah.
was like, oh man, what if Blue Point goes into the Sony house and now they have access to all of the Sony exclusive IP. They can mess around because I was just thinking the other day, oh man, I know everyone loves Jack 2, but there's no way I'm going back to Jack 2 to play that for the first
Exactly.
time because it's
Yeah.
so difficult and there's a lot of problems with it that just wouldn't mess with my modern sensibilities. Well, Blue Point could go in, fix all that stuff, release the whole trilogy remade, and that would be incredible. Even if we don't get a fourth game, that would be incredible. And then I got even more excited. They just bought Insomniac. Go back to Resistance, especially that first game, but 2 and 3 as well. They could use a lot of fresh paint, fresh gameplay mechanics, all that stuff. Make those games great and put them back out. Yeah, that would be such an exciting proposition. When do I think it's going to happen? I do think it is not inevitable, but I think it is very easy to expect. I think that's probably coming. I don't want to say it's 100% coming because I don't know if you guys saw this after that leak happened. Like the next day or two after, Bluepoint updated all their socials and descriptions everywhere and said, "Hey, we are an independent studio. We're
Yeah.
self-funded. We
Mhm.
have not been purchased." So I don't think they would have sent up that flare if they were either not interested in being purchased or were maybe getting looked at by a different company or developer or something. Um, yeah, that's my thing. I don't think they would have like made that super obvious if they did do that for a reason. So I do think it makes a lot of sense for Sony to buy them. I just don't know if it's happening based off of them being so adamant about their independence right now. But and I really don't think we're gonna see it during that state of play that's happening tomorrow. Like I really don't think that's
No, no,
gonna
I
Oh
be
was
yeah.
just
happening.
messing with you. There's no way that's happening.
Yeah.
I'm gonna read off. I know we're getting a little too into this. I'm gonna read off the last. What is it? I think 10 games that Bluepoint has done. God of War
Okay.
collection, the Ico and Shadow of the Colossus collection for PS3. The God of War collection is also for PS3 and Vita. Metal Gear Solid HD collection,
Oh wait, no.
PS3, Xbox 360. PlayStation All Stars Battle Royale port to
Mhm.
Vita. Flower port to PS4 and Vita. I didn't play that one. Titanfall port to 360. Uncharted: The Nathan Drake Collection to PS4. Gravity Rush Remastered
I'm out
PS4.
of pants.
Shadow the Colossus PS4 and Demon Souls PS5. You're telling me Bluepoint already has the keys to the backlog of Sony's. Like Bluepoint could literally say, "Hey guys, we want to do an Ape Escape trilogy game. That's it. We're gonna take Ape Escape. We're gonna remaster it. Then we're gonna do Ape Escape 2, and we're gonna remaster that, and then we're gonna make our own Ape Escape game." You're telling me Sony's not gonna say yes? Go for it.
I mean, it's not a yes, go for it thing because
Emmett,
like right now.
Emmett, you're telling me they're not gonna say yes? Go for it.
Look, we all know Sony can be just as weird as Nintendo sometimes, but I don't think you're gonna see straight up remakes of stuff until they get bought. Because right now it's very specific what they're letting get remade. It's
Right.
the classic. It's the ones that are classics and everyone loves them, but are very aggressively, very noticeably old. I think once you start getting into Jack and Daxter, a game that you could play those original games on PlayStation 4 right now,
Yeah.
and a lot of people are fine with them as is. Same thing for the Resistance games, where you can't really easily access them, but the Resistance games are harder because those aren't quite as classic, even though they are still old enough to get some, work done on them. But like, it depends on how deep they want to get. Because if they go back and handle something like Resistance, they could bring that back and make it a big deal. Like, imagine a ET press conference and you get a demo for Resistance remade, and it looks incredible. It looks like every great PS5 game ever. Like, that could be something that gets a new wave of fans excited, not just the old people. Where Shadow of the Colossus, that is mainly exciting the old fan bases that love that game.
Right.
Same thing for Demon Souls. That's mainly exciting the old fan bases. So that's where I think they would, if they bought them, that's where it would go afterward, I'm pretty sure. So,
Fuck.
we have to see if they get bought. Once again, I think it's likely. I don't think it's a guarantee though. So, time will tell.
All I'm saying is, I'm sorry, I had a bit of a problem over here. All I'm
No,
saying
you're
is, Bluepoint has literally made banger after banger. Okay.
they've ported banger after banger. They made two bangers.
Yeah, that's you gotta
Okay.
be
All right. All
you
right.
gotta
Yeah.
be honest, because
Yeah.
first of all, they've done Shadow of the Colossus twice, and the first time it was just taking the PS2 game and putting it on the PS3 at 1080p and 60.
Yeah, you're right.
Um,
Yep.
and to be fair, I've played my fair share of really bad ports. I played Metal Gear Solid Legacy Collection, and I played 2 and 3 and Peace Walker, and then I tried to play uh what is that game? The Devil May Cry collection, and it's like
Uh,
night and day. They went back to the original assets of Metal Gear Solid and put in the cutscene quality character models into the main storyline. Any 2D image that they could get a higher resolution version, they updated that. The in Devil May Cry collection, everything is exactly the same as it was on the PS2 in 2001 and in 2005. It is pixelated as all hell. It's 480i. All of the character models have square hands. It is pretty bad. It is exactly the same as playing it upscaled on emulator.
yeah.
So even Bluepoint at when they're not doing a game all the way from zero, it's pretty cool.
Okay. All right.
Hmm,
Okay.
keep that in mind.
Next topic. Dead Space remake is in the works.
Yes.
According to the man, the myth, the legend, Jeff Grubb, EA Motive, who co-developed Star Wars Battlefront 2, will be taking the reins and quote is taking notes from Capcom's recent Resident Evil remakes, like Resident Evil 2 remake. Expect the next Dead Space to use the original game as a strong foundation, but it should have modern visuals, and it will likely bring in new gameplay mechanics inspired by other entries in the franchise. Other entries in the franchise. And speaking of Capcom, it is likely a major reason a new Dead Space is happening. While EA let its horror franchise wither, the Resident Evil series is larger than ever, and Capcom has provided an easy blueprint for EA to follow.
Hmm.
Thoughts, Emmett?
Yeah. I'm excited for this. This is a I don't consider myself a massive Dead Space fan. Because I really love the first game and I like the second game a lot too. That third game, I'm
Not so
pissed that I
much.
even played through all of it.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I'm glad to see the franchise is coming back in some capacity. I don't know how exactly they're gonna bring it back because I know EA, despite them being despite them saying, "Oh, we want to get some of that Resident Evil Remake 2 money," I don't trust them 100% to just put
Yeah.
out just a single player game without any, extra hitches or anything to it. I think they save that for their EA originals. I think they save that for when an independent developer comes in and does something.
Yeah.
So we'll see what it's going to be. I'm sure whatever it ends up being, it sounds like it's going to be a completely
New game.
reimagined thing because
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all play well. Hopefully y'all didn't play Dead Space 3, but at the end of the final canon thing in Dead Space 3, which was the DLC, there is no more story you can tell after that. Literally the end of the world happens. So like without, getting too detailed into how and why, but there's no way this can be a full-on sequel. This would have to be a remake, and I'd be interested to see what they take away from it and what they add to it because God, I feel like it's a very delicate balance with the original Dead Space where there isn't much of a character there until the very end. As far as the one you're playing, Isaac Clarke, it feels like a very bare bones game. And I just can't see them putting that much money to it if they're still going to have it be a bare bones product. I think they're going to try and make it more bombastic, more actiony, more exciting to a market that they've imagined. So we'll see what happens with it. I'm looking forward to it, but my expectations are also kind of tepid.
Yeah. I can see it now. It's just microtransaction before the big reveal, you know?
God.
Well, the original Dead Space itself was also filled with microtransactions.
Oh my
Like
god, was it really?
yeah,
Wait,
yeah, it
Dead
was
Space
one
3 was, but 1 was?
pre-order bonuses.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was one of the original games where it was like, here's a map. If you get this from GameStop, you get this weapon that will break the game. If you get this from Target, you get this weapon that will break the game. If you get this from Best Buy, it gets a useless weapon. Don't get that version because then you're not going to be able to beat the game faster. It was really annoying. And then they didn't give, since they released the PC version later, they didn't put any of the pre-order bonuses in that game, and PC gamers got mad. So then they were just like, "Fine, we patched them all in." And then it's like, "Oh, I can use all the game-breaking games right from the beginning now." It was a shit show. I don't expect this game to be any different from that perspective. I do think that you don't want to kill a franchise before it has a chance to come back, like everyone did with when they tried to bring back Guitar Hero and Rock Band, and everyone was like, "No, what are you doing?" And
Oh,
nobody
Mirror's
bought any of
Edge.
this. Yeah, Mirror's Edge. They finally
Titanfall.
made a sequel, and everyone's disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was that. I think that was less of a. That was more of just a poor release date, which they might do here too. But I do think it. I have mixed feelings though because I don't think there's anything explicit about the original Dead Space that demands it being remade. Um, I would almost rather it be like a reboot of sorts
Yeah.
because like
Oh,
like
well,
Emmett was
I think that's
saying,
what they said more directly. Yeah, I think it is
okay,
going to be a reboot rather than a remake of the original game. They just want to start fresh.
Yeah, so
yeah,
it's just they're using I guess they're using remake to like let you know that it's going to be kind of
yeah,
like Resident Evil 2 remake.
mm-hmm. Um, Resident Evil 2 remake was a different situation where I played a little bit of not so much Resident Evil 2, but like the first two games aren't too different from each other aside from like settings and stuff.
Yeah.
And the just the top down tank control system is just very hard to get into if you're. I feel like honestly, Dead Space was the first horror game I ever enjoyed.
Yeah.
Before that, I just
Like,
objectively did not play horror games. And then one day I logged into Steam and my friend was like, "You have to play this game. I bought it for you. You have to play it for me now." And I was like, "He bought me a game. I guess I have to play it now." And I genuinely enjoyed it. It was pretty scary, but I enjoyed it. And I think it does make sense that this style of gameplay is what people are looking for. People do want more. People keep asking, like you, Emmett Watkins. I'm also asking for more Dino Crisis. I want to play Resident
yeah.
Evil 2, but instead of zombies, there's dinosaurs. Um, if I
Man.
can get a Dead Space like that, that's acceptable too. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
As a person who's never played a Dead Space game, I'm kind of excited for this, but it's EA, so I know that they'll probably screw it up. You know.
Dude, it's still worth playing the original if you can get your hands on it.
That's the thing. I've been trying to get like the first two because I know everybody tells me Dead Space 3 is the one that sucks, but like I can't seem to find it. And the only thing that pops up when I search for Dead Space 1 and 2 is Dead Space 3, and I'm like, no, I don't fucking want that one.
Are you on what consoles do you have? Because it's on Game Pass if you have Xbox.
Here's the thing, Emmett. I'm glad you brought
Uh-oh.
this up. I
Here we
just
go.
got delivered an Xbox Series S. Okay.
Hell yeah.
Now the question is, do I return it and
Oh, because you want
wait
that
for
X.
the X? You know,
Oh,
like
you know what? I can answer that question very easily because I have a Series S because I haven't gotten an X yet.
okay,
And if you really just want to get a taste of the next gen, go ahead and hook it up. What I'm planning on doing, because I still got my PS4 and my Xbox One, I'm gonna
okay,
sell both of those, get the money from those, use that to buy a Series X, and then once I have a Series X, sell the S, and then make a maybe 300 profit. We'll see. That's my
okay.
assumption.
Now, to be fair, I do have a PS5, so I like
Okay, then yeah, you're
it's
fine. I would just keep the Series S for now and then
yeah,
get an X
but
later.
like 4K, you know.
Honestly, the Series S does everything in 4K. The only thing it doesn't do, some of the modern gen, like the Metro Exodus port that they have, it's 1080p on Series S instead of 4K, and it's doing like this dynamic resolution stuff to where it's like a little bit foggy in some
I
areas. So
don't
I'm
know
like,
if I
eh,
like that, you know.
that
Mm,
sucks. But it's
mm.
it's specific games, and like for some of the frame rate boost stuff, it doesn't work on Series S. Like Anthem is only Series X with the frame rate boost, and a couple others. It's
Who's playing
it's
Anthem on next
I
gen
want to
console?
play
Who's
Anthem with
playing
the frame rate
Anthem in
boost.
2021?
Look here, man. I'm one of the few people I'm still curious about Anthem. I still want to at least play through it
Yeah,
just to like see what it was because it looks fun,
it
even though
is
it's not
fun.
something
It's
that
just
I'm
like
going to
they
love.
dropped the ball, you know.
Exactly. So like there's reasons that I want to play it, but long story short, if you can get an S, just hold on to the S until you can get an X and then swap it around. Hit
I
up
got,
eBay like I do. eBay's been pretty good to me.
I got 30 days to return it, so we'll see what happens.
All right. I'll let you think about it.
Okay. Christian says no, get a graphics card. And listen, man, if I could, I would. You know.
It is the best answer. You don't even have to get a real big one yet. Like,
Yeah.
if you got a Series S, if you got a PS5, just get like a 1080,
Look
1090, like
here.
it's
And
still used
pay
one.
what feels like $1 trillion for it? No way. It's not happening.
I guess they are still expensive, even though
Yeah,
they're old
people are
now.
just like, hey, listen, you
That
can't get your
requires me
hands
to
on a
crack into my
3080.
PC
Oh,
and
I
get
said a
really skilled.
1090.
No, I know. This is what their thought pattern is.
Oh,
You
okay.
can't get your hands on a 3080, but here I got a 1090 for you here, for a mere price of $700. And if I'm spending
That's
$700
fair.
on
That's
that,
fair.
I'll just wait for the 3080 to be in stock whenever.
I'll just
Yeah.
wait till I can get a home and take a mortgage out of it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's
I'll just wait
just
until that.
I
yeah.
managed to get a 2060 right before the 30s came out, and now even the 20s are like super hard to find and
Yeah.
like 30% more than what I paid for. I'm
I
really lucky.
I looked up the other day 2080 Super Ti, I think it was, and it was like they were asking for $1,700, and I'm like, no, what? What do you mean? It's not happening. Yeah. Um.
Absurd.
But anyway, I know we're running a little short on time here, Emmett. Give me 1 second. I know you got
No
a hard
problem.
ad
No
at
problem.
8 o'clock, right?
Oh no, today I don't. It was yesterday
Oh,
that I
okay.
that
Oh,
pushed
Oh,
it off
sweet.
nice.
So we're
yeah,
we're
we're good.
we're good. Okay.
Yeah, pushing that day back, it worked in our benefit.
Perfect. Next topic: director's cuts. We're getting 2 director's cuts in the near future. Ghost of Tsushima is getting a director's cut, which is coming with an expansion called Iki Island. This expansion, quote, will chronicle Jin as he travels to Tsushima's neighboring island, Ikushima, to pursue rumors of a Mongolian presence. Once there, Jin comes face to face with new challenges and must relive some traumatic events from his past in order to push forward. And it's just like, why you gotta do Jin like that? You know, like why can't this man just live
Frolic
off?
into the sunset.
Yeah,
Exactly.
like just let him. He already beat the Mongols. You know, like just leave him alone. That was coming from GameRant.com. We are also getting a director's cut of Death Stranding. While we don't have a lot of information on that just yet, but hopefully it will be, quote, a version of a game that is optimized for PlayStation 5. That would mean enhanced graphics and lighting effects, support for faster frame rates at higher resolutions, and perhaps some innovative use for the newer consoles DualSense controller. And that's from Kotaku. And so help me God, if I don't feel BB shaking out of that fucking DualSense.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Kojima, listen to me. I know you have some problems that you think you can predict the future, but I'm telling you, you can't. Okay? You can't because I'm still waiting for Snake to come out and like blow this whole conspiracy theory out of the water, you know? Just just give me the ability to feel BB shaking, okay?
Like,
I
I'll
don't
do
like
you
that
one
feeling.
better. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Death Stranding, there's situations where you play as Norman Reedus and you have to use the bathroom, right?
Oh yeah.
What if you could feel the stream?
Oh, I didn't think that's where you were
I'm just
going with
saying,
this.
this is Kojima we're talking about. I
Okay.
mean, like there were like some of it. This is the guy who was like, you know what would be cool? What if there's a section where you run around naked as the protagonist?
Yeah,
Bro,
yeah.
talk about a live
Metal Gear
stream.
Solid 2.
Goodness.
uh, John, I think you got something there. You know, I think I should get you in contact with Kojima. Let's see what he says about that. You know,
He's not
um,
horrified.
what?
If he's not horrified.
No, I don't think he will be.
He thought about it
He
before
definitely
I did.
thought
I
about
just
it.
said it out loud.
He definitely thought about it.
Probably. I think Norman was like, all right, chill.
Yeah,
Still got to get this AMC check. Relax.
yeah. John, what do you thought? What are your thoughts on these two?
So, I've never played either of these games. So I have the very hot take of whenever I get a PS5, if I have to pay $70 for either of these games, they're brand new games to me, so I won't notice. I know some people aren't excited about the idea of having to rebuy Ghost of Tsushima if they played it on the PS4. I believe the PS5 was announced by the time Ghost of Tsushima came out.
Yes, it
So
was.
I feel like if like I held off on it because I don't plan on playing it until the PS5's out anyway. And I heard from some people that like playing it on a PS4 Pro, even on a PS4 Pro, isn't super ideal compared to like even just playing it on a PS5, even though it's still the PS4 version right now.
Yeah.
Um, I know it's kind of annoying to be like I have the PS4 disc in my PS5, but like I feel like people should be more understanding that like these new things that come out aren't just people like checking boxes and like shipping it out. It takes time and effort to test these things, make sure these work, and like plus there's an entire new expansion to Ghost of Tsushima, and like new game design is not a cheap task. That's why Sony keeps making and charging $40 for like Miles Morales.
Yeah.
The Uncharted 4 next game, I forget what is
Oh,
off the top of my head.
uh,
Lost
uh,
Legacy.
there you go. There you go.
Oh, Lost Legacy.
my
Okay,
God.
Yeah, Lost
Perfect
like
game.
those types of stuff.
10
Yeah,
out of
I
10.
agree. Lost Legacy is my favorite Uncharted game.
Hell
It's the
yeah.
best one.
It's a really good
Yeah.
game. It's a really
Yeah,
good
it's
game.
just
Oh,
like
yeah.
really well paced, and I like the only thing I miss was like I do like the idea of like we're going halfway across the world, but in this game it's all like perfectly paced out. So,
Yeah.
um,
I'm with you.
but yeah, I think this is fine. I get that it sucks having to rebuy the game again, but also that's why PC. That's what PCs do.
John.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
log in and then the game goes, there's a new version of this game. Would you like to pay $10 extra to get it? And you're like, boop, download it extra gigabytes, and I got Saints Row the Third remastered. When I had Saints Row the Third, I bought Saints Row the Third for $3. So
yeah.
that's cool.
I mean, I'm not on the opposite standpoint of it because I also haven't played either of these games, but I did buy one of them. Uh, I know. Especially, I'm a big Sucker Punch fan. I love Infamous with my whole heart. So the fact that I haven't gotten a Ghost is honestly kind of on me because I'm still slightly bitter that I didn't get a new Infamous, but I'm not trying to hold that against them because they're gonna do what they want to,
Second
I
son
and
feel
of
the
a
same
dragon.
way.
Second son of a
exactly.
dragon.
And I just don't have the affinity
Yeah,
for
but
Kojima that everyone has. So
First Light is
Perfection.
another example of better than the original game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I
mm,
agree.
okay,
Sorry, go
I'll
ahead.
hold you to that.
Go ahead.
Oh well, I'll check both of them out eventually in time, I'm sure. But in the case of Ghost of Tsushima, to talk to that controversy about the pricing and everything,
Yeah.
how the pricing set up, where if you have the original PlayStation 4 Ghost of Tsushima, in order to get the PlayStation 5 version of the director's cut, you have to pay $20 to upgrade from regular version to director's cut,
Yep.
then another $10 to upgrade from PS4 to PS5. Now, I fully agree with you on the John, I fully agree with you saying that, new game design, that $20 for the director's cut, there's new features, new gameplay, a lot of good stuff in there. I don't have a problem with paying $20 for that. I think that's worth it. I think that's totally fair price. My problem comes with the $10 upgrade to go from PS4 to PS5. Call of Duty did this last year with Cold War, and I didn't really love it then. Here, it feels like even more of an egregious thing because we're really starting to split hairs
Yeah.
on what that $10 is getting you. Because in the case of Ghost of Tsushima, they released the gameplay boost to the game last year. So if you had a PlayStation 4 version, you can pop into the PS5. You're playing at 4K 60 already. And I think I played like 2 minutes of the Legends mode just to like test it out. It looks really good. So I can't imagine. So like we're already getting the graphical enhancements pretty much for free. So what am I paying $10 for? Slightly better load times in a game that already has really quick load times and some advanced trigger stuff.
Yeah.
Like it feels super it just doesn't feel like that $10 is doing anything rather than just being a weird gatekeepy thing. Um, and yeah, that's my main beef with it, to where I'm sure it's going to be a great game, no problem on that. But all these other console manufacturers are putting out free updates for the next gen. Doom Eternal just did it, despite the fact you can't bring your save over, but that's a whole nother can of worms. Avengers did it. All these games have done it. All these third party games primarily. Why is Sony deciding not to do it? Maybe they're saying, all right, they don't need to pay the $10 since we're already giving them the PS4 boost. Maybe they don't need to do it, so let's just charge them for 10, and the super hardcore fans will do it. It just doesn't make sense to me, and it leads me to believe that I'm probably going to pay the $20 to get the director's
Director's
cut.
cut.
Once I play through the original game, I'll probably do that. But that $10 to go from PS4 to PS5, I don't think I'm ever going to do that unless it's maybe free or super cheap one day.
So, I didn't realize that it was 2 transactions that you had to pay.
Yeah,
for.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
That's very annoying and obnoxious.
Yeah.
I think the overall total of 30 isn't a hard like bite for me, but like the fact that they're like, okay, but like if you want to upgrade it to what is it called? Director's cut, that's one thing. But then if you want the director's cut that you just paid money for on PS5, that's another thing. I think that's like you said, splitting hairs and just really, really inconvenient and obnoxious.
Listen,
Because you were mentioning third parties not really being a thing, and I can think of a couple like with Final Fantasy VII. You have
Yeah, the
to,
remake. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I guess the PS5 upgrade isn't what you have to pay for, but it's if you want to pay,
the
if you want
individual.
the Yeah, the DLC, the additional
No, I'm sorry.
DLC
Intermission.
section.
Intermission.
Intermission.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
that
that's a perfect
is
way to
what you
do
have
it.
to pay for.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that makes a lot more sense than charging for the upgrade and then charging for the or charging for the additional content, and then if you want to play it in the PS5 format, charging again feels really weird.
You're talking to the guy that spent $80 twice on this game because I bought the Steelbook edition, special edition. I bought that, and then it didn't come
Okay.
in on time, so I bought it from PSN. Just I bought it from PSN. Just
What?
just the base game though, so $65. And then I was like, well, I already have it here. I'm not gonna send it back, because this Steelbook looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I kept both games. So I don't know if I'm gonna be buying this director's cut. I didn't realize it was an extra $30. I just thought it was you either pick one or the other.
Well, you like they said, you can just pay $20 and just get the extra content. But if you want those PS5 exclusive features, that's an extra 10.
I
Which,
mean,
like I said, splitting hairs, but
that was a really good game.
20 bucks
Damn
is
it.
worth it.
It was a really good
It
game. Damn it.
the DLC will go on sale. The upgrade will go on sale once it's like $10 or $15 to go from PS4 to PS5 with
Yes.
the new content. I might jump on then, but that's like 2-3 years from now.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man. Okay, so that kind of upset me. Death Stranding. What are we thinking? So Kojima just stop with Death Stranding, like just
I
go
mean,
on
he,
to the
he
next
won't
game.
stop with. I mean,
I
after this, he will stop. But
I just
you know,
feel
we'll
like if he's complaining about oh shit, like my games predict the future. Why would you continue to work on the game that literally predicted the pandemic, quote unquote, coming from him? Uh, I don't know.
because people will buy it.
he's got a staff to keep going. Got insurance to pay, more
Yeah.
people's mortgages to keep
Right, but if
funded.
that's the case, then why not just continue working on the next game that you're already working on?
Because this one was easier and it's a good way to test the PS5 development.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's my
like
same
that's
reason they did Last of Us.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think calling it a director's cut was a bad idea. I think I understand that you want to make a fancier version of a game that was pretty cool and some people liked a lot for next gen consoles. I think there are better titles you could have used than director's cut for a game that's infamous for a company for Sony just basically going blank check, do whatever the fuck you want, and then being like, okay, but I did some more. It's like I get it.
We'll see.
Yeah,
Is it going to be another controversy of you got to pay $30 to get this new edition plus
I
the?
hope not.
Nah, I don't think
'Cause-
so. I
I
think
think there's a different situation because it's been quite a while since Death Stranding came out,
yeah.
and I also think where it released, you're gonna see some more significant improvements compared to Ghost of Tsushima, which is just a year old.
Yeah. You're probably right. I just hope it's not. Sorry. Emmett, sorry, I cut you off before.
Oh no, I was just saying I don't know if there's like a standard between all the Sony developers on how they're going to do their PS5 upgrades, because I was just thinking about this. I meant to bring it up earlier, but I didn't think about it. Insomniac for Spider-Man Miles Morales, that was a free upgrade at launch, and that game came out, PS5, PS4 same time. So I
Right.
don't know what they're going to do for these older titles. I think their thinking might be uh what is it, Death Stranding and Ghost of Tsushima. They both came back. They came out long ago enough to where people could have snagged them for like $30, $40, really cheap on sale.
Yeah.
And to give them a free upgrade on top of that would maybe be not enough money going into Sony's wallet for that transaction. So maybe
Uh,
their way of doing the $10 thing is like, oh, we're gonna get a little cut.
I just like to point out that while Death Stranding was published by Sony, they're no longer like involved with them. Once the game was released, so like all the
Mhm.
PC and like re-releases, I
Yeah,
think are
that's all
just through
Kojima.
Kojima.
Yeah.
Yeah, the PC
Um,
released 505 games specifically.
yeah, I bet they're working with them for the PS5 version because
Yeah.
I don't believe like Sony's ever like talked about promoting new versions of it so far.
Maybe not.
Shoot. Well, in
Which
that
also.
case, 505 games with control did not have the best upgrade to
Oh
next gen
yeah,
option.
yeah.
So do
So
we think
we'll
that's what
see
it?
if that's
Oh well,
them.
I was just gonna say, do we think that's what it was? But that's not. That's two different games I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Next topic. I think this is our final topic. I could be wrong. Oh no, shit, we got one more. It sounds like Konami is coming back to make video games, people, and get excited. The makers of Blair Witch and most recently The Medium are partnering up with Konami to do something. We don't really know what it is. We're getting hints that it could be Silent Hill. It could not
Make
be.
some good educated guesses.
Yeah, like whatever Bloober Team has done in the past, it's all been horror games. So we assume that it's Silent Hill, but we never know. According to Polygon, Bloober Team explained that the two companies will share information and technology, and more importantly, they'll work on jointly developing certain projects, which is just PR speak for, yeah, we're basically in bed together, you know. Konami responded to Polygon's request for comment with the following: "We do not have any specifics to share at this time, but we can say while Bloober Team will continue to produce their own original content, we're excited at the chance to collaborate with them on potential projects across our various IP." Metal Metal Gear Survive 2.
Two.
2.
Good God, nah. Now Dance Dance Revolution reboot. But no.
Please, actually, I unironically want that.
I think
I'm a
honestly, I
big
think it's about
DDR fan.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just, maybe no mats in people's bedrooms, but put that shit in arcades,
If
bro.
you ever go to an anime convention, they always have like 4 or 5 different generations of DDR machines because they will have huge lines and
Yeah.
they can't get enough like people pounding the mats all at the same time.
Dude, I'm telling you, as someone who's been to MomoCon like 4 or 5 times, that is certainly the case. um,
Yeah.
anyway, about Bloober, I think I'm interested to see what they do because a lot of people, Bloober Team is kind of like a mid-tier studio. If I was into horror games, I think I'd be a Bloober Team fan
Yeah.
because all of their games are like the dollar store version of a different franchise, where Layers of Fear is like store brand PT, and the Medium is just store brand, honestly, store brand Silent Hill
Yeah.
mixed with a little bit of old school Resident Evil. Yeah, they tend to make stuff like that. So good for them to getting to a high enough tier to where they're doing stuff with Konami and potentially their franchises. If this isn't Silent Hill, I'd be surprised because, like, Lord knows, the Medium felt like a demo for them getting to make Silent Hill. Felt
Yeah.
like them trying to prove themselves on that arena. So, hopefully that's what this is. Hopefully it is good because I know so many people have problems with like the middling quality of their games, and from what I hear, they don't make aggressively bad games. They just make like misguided, like the stories aren't quite there or
Yeah.
the gameplay isn't quite there. They just need to tighten a couple things up. So hopefully they can tighten it up for this project and make something that fans are gonna love. I don't have too much skin in this game. I do. I've always said I want to play Silent Hill. Think it's either 2 or 3, literally only because Jarrett Petty was talking about it one time and he was like, "Oh yeah, one of these games is about like a sexual assault." And I was like, "Wow,
Yeah,
that
that's
sounds
Silent
really
Hill
heavy."
2.
Okay, yeah, if it's Silent Hill
Um
2,
I
I
think
want to yeah.
I think 2 and 3 focus on like different aspects of it because like two's protagonist is a straight white guy, three's protagonist is like a teenage girl or
Woman.
like a 20-year-old
Yeah.
girl, something like that, younger lady. Um, but like there are like there's a theme of like subconscious sexual horror and the uncomfortableness of like human sexuality. Which is
Yeah.
ironic because like that is something weird that both Japan and America have issues with in different ways. Because we both have just weird sexual hangups. Um,
That's why
and
I wanted to play Silent Hill just to see what the hell's that about because I've never heard of anything even tackling that type of stuff. So I said, "Wow,
yeah,
that's
uh,
otherworldly."
not a spoiler, but like some of the monsters in Silent Hill 2 include a creature that is basically two pelvises attached together. So it's like two legs and like two butts connected, and it's
Oh
just like
no,
shuffles up and climbs up walls and stuff.
Jesus
And that's like
Christ!
one of the first enemies like you encounter, and then there's like even more like creepy stuff in there that's like sexual based. So
Wow,
and
what
it's
a
like
wholesome good time.
it seems pretty like well done as opposed to like being like Resident
Just
Evil 8,
crass.
which is like funny, but also it's like, yeah, it's evil, but also it's kind of hot on purpose. This is like, no, this is supposed to be like, these things make me
Actual
uncomfortable.
horrifying. Yeah, yeah. One of these days, I'll boot up my copy of the remake that they put out on PS3. But yeah, I don't know what you think about this whole Bloober Team situation.
Um, so I'm not trying to call you out, Ruben, but you said Konami's coming back to video games. That is
My,
technically incorrect.
you're right. You're right. My apologies.
They
My
made
apologies.
Super Bomberman R for the Switch in 2019,
Oh, that's right. How could I forget Super Bomberman R, the greatest
which is all
game of
right.
2018?
But how could you forget Super Contra Hardcore from just a couple of years ago, a $40 game that looked like a 4.99
Oh,
straight to digital game.
I forgot about that game.
John, you know what I meant, okay? You know what
What
I meant.
but this is leading into my feelings on this, which is I don't want Konami to be behind a Silent Hill game on their own.
No.
And I'm worried because Bloober Team seems like a talented studio that's just been working with pennies. And I don't think Konami's gonna put out the cash to make like a Silent Hill game that like everyone wants post Silent Hills PT
I
situation. Like people want a big like not an expensive huge like I'm not saying open world AAA silent, but they want a Silent Hill game where like you're not noticing, oh well, clearly they didn't have the money for this. Clearly they could have expanded on this, but like they were on a tight budget or they had a tight deadline. And unless like they have a really big unless their reveal is really cool, I'm very skeptical that Konami is trying to do something cool with this.
I'd like to do a little bit of a rebuttal because I don't think Bloober Team's issue is that they haven't had enough money to make all the games they want. Surely in the beginning a lot of their stuff is more low budget, but when I think of the medium specifically, that game looked expensive in
Yeah.
the very, very little bit that I played of it.
Okay.
It felt expensive. It feels like it's less that their money is the issue and more just like their ability to polish and their ability to make
Okay.
like a good compelling story. It seems like it's a problem more with the craft rather than the financials.
Right.
And they've been practicing with the craft long enough to where at this point
Okay.
they might be able to make something really good and firing on all cylinders. But yeah, I think Layers of Fear, that one was definitely cheap and some stuff around that era. But ever since the medium, I feel like they're like
Yeah,
on Metro's level
I
of
haven't had a
development.
chance to try out the medium, unfortunately, but it looks cool. I forgot how it looks. It does look pretty cool.
But yeah, I
Um,
think Konami is just like it's about creative freedom. Are they going to give them the freedom to make something cool with the Silent Hill
yeah.
universe?
And
Well
then I
then,
know Silent Hill fans are very skeptical because, like, I think the last three Silent Hill games were all made by Western developers and they were all varying kinds of garbage. Not the same kind of garbage, but different kinds of garbage. One of them was like a top down multiplayer Diablo clone. That
Vita
was
one.
like,
Yep,
yeah,
Book
play
of
as
Memories or
all your
something.
favorite Silent Hill characters. And everyone was like, why? This isn't
Oh my god,
how I want these characters to hang out.
play
Um,
as your favorite sex crime victims.
Okay.
so
Jesus,
that's yeah, that's basically
that's what
it.
it was. Oh
I'm
boy.
just hoping that Konami isn't doing this to appeal to the West in the what's the word I'm looking for? In the cynical way that like DMC was like from a story perspective was like designed to appeal to the
Uh,
West and then missed out on what everyone liked about those characters.
hmm.
Um, and that is also a concern I have.
I
Hmm.
just feel like if Konami is, John, I know you corrected me, but I'm gonna correct myself. Coming back to the video games game, just give it to Sony. Let Sony take care of
Yeah.
it. Let's bring it back to Blue Point. Blue Point could make incredible games. Blue Point, well, let me rephrase that. Blue Point could make incredible remakes. All right. Kojima, patch things up with him because you know damn well that was your cash cow. Okay. You know
Yeah.
very well that was your cash cow.
See,
Yeah.
but it wasn't the cash cow. The cash cows were the pachinko machines all along.
Yes, but if it wasn't for Kojima, you wouldn't have a
That's
pachinko
true. Yeah.
machine. You know.
Yeah, the best selling one is the Metal Gear Solid 3
Three.
one that
Yeah.
has 4K cutscenes from Gear Solid 3 that we'll never see in an actual Metal Gear Solid 3 remake.
I hate
And I'm
it.
so annoyed.
Oh boy, you gotta love Konami, bro.
Yeah.
Always upsetting us. But hey, we'll see what the future holds.
Yeah. But speaking of Silent Hill, our next topic is Blue Box games. Which, man, oh man, what a fucking shit show this has been. We all know the story of Blue Box. I'm not going to get into this. All I'm going to say is, well, I'm kind of going to get into it. They've been teasing people saying that they have been working on a Silent Hills game, but then they weren't, but then they were. And then they had planned to release a PS5 app for some reason that would have had a trailer for their next game called Abandoned, which everyone thought was definitely a Kojima game, but we'll see what happens with that game. They had a whole countdown and everything, and the day that the app was supposed to be released, they pushed it back another month, I think, another month or
It
two.
just meant like August or something.
Okay,
Early August.
so another 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And they said basically that the app wasn't ready and that they needed more time to work on stuff like the localization of it, which is just like, why have a countdown if you know you weren't gonna make the mark? Like, what was the point of this?
Because they didn't push it. They pushed it an entire month. Not like, oh, you're gonna have to wait a week. A week, I'd understand if it was like,
Yeah,
oh, there's just a couple of things
that you got to work
that
on.
they just noticed like the day before, but like a whole month, like you probably knew you weren't gonna make it.
Of course.
Yeah, it's a very weird situation. I don't just the conspiracy of it, like that whole thing kind of blew up in their face. I don't know if they were trying to write it at all into like, some type of notoriety, because from my perspective it looks like they were legitimately just a small team, wanted to show off their game on a PlayStation blog, and they were legit just trying to make something, and then everyone took it and said, what if this is a Kojima thing? And it got so far. The thing I'm not sure of, did they actually like try to take it and say, hey, low key, we are a Kojima thing, wink wink nudge nudge? Like, I'm
No,
still not entirely
But
sure
what
they
they
tried to
did
take it
do
there.
is they said, "Hey, Abandon is just the name of the project. The actual title of the game is different, and it starts with an S and it ends with an L."
Oh yeah, I remember that, but uh,
I don't think
mm,
that counts. Also, most people are saying that something is going to be Silent Hills, and Hills has an S in it. Not that's different. That ends with an
mm,
S, not an L.
this is true, but it could just be the
true.
first
I
Silent Hill.
honestly, I feel like this is just a bunch of unfortunate coincidences for this
Yeah,
team. 'Cause there's no
I
way.
keep going back and forth, but also I'm 30 years old. I don't have the time to get mad about someone pretending to maybe be making the next Silent Hill game and maybe they're not. I don't
John,
have time
you
to
should
get
be. Okay.
mad over whether a man was like pretending to have Hideo Kojima's name in Arabic and then it turns out he just happens to have to, because like Hideo and Kojima in Japanese are just two like words that people name children and last names. And so like Hideo translates to hero, and I forget the guy's name, but it's just the term for hero in Arabic. Like that's what's
Yep.
the similarity is. Like
Oh, I thought
there's
it was
like
Kojima. I could be wrong. It could be Hideo. You could be right.
I think it was
It's
both.
video.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like come on. There's way too many similarities, but also
Yeah,
like now that we know that Kojima is working on uh Microsoft game or they're working
yeah,
closely
Yeah, they
together,
signed a deal.
eh, I'm thinking less and less that this is something
yeah.
that's going to be happening. Like, I don't think that it's going to be a Kojima game, which is unfortunate, you know? I was kind of hoping it was.
I wish people could like play along, but also if it's like turns out no, this is very just an indie game, just be like, oh well, that was a fun time, and not like throw a fit about everything. Like
Yeah.
there's so much going on. Like why get so mad that someone was like, oh, I was trying to make my new indie game more exciting. Whoops, I accidentally thought made you think I was Kojima.
Yeah, I just feel bad for them, man, because there's no way, even if for a split second they thought, oh, let's play with these, people who have this conspiracy going up. Let's just play with them, throw a little bit of fuel on the fire just to, like, as a joke or as a goof or just to get a little bit more recognition or fame.
Yeah.
Even if they did that, they still don't deserve all of the shit
No,
that's
yeah,
being
yeah,
thrown at them.
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with all of you on that front. So it's like, whew, I don't wish it on anybody, and I would like to just see what this game actually is, this abandoned project. Just let them reveal it, come back in a couple months. Because honestly, I think they might have pushed it back, not because, oh snap, everything isn't ready and the deadline's here. I think they might have pushed it back to say, all right, everyone's looking at us because of this conspiracy. Maybe let's just push it back. And A, the team doesn't have to work as hard because we get more space. And B, now when we come back with this, people aren't thinking, all right, this is going to be Silent Hill. This is going to be Silent Hill. Now that the Bloober Team announcement has come out, and now that they know this is another Japanese studio, I don't believe the studio is based in Japan. So, yeah,
Yep.
I think we're going to be good on that front. And hopefully the second time around, it's a lot better because my first time was kind of a mess.
Now, I would agree with you if they didn't lean into uh, them making a Silent Hills game.
True, but I also don't think that. I think that was another coincidence that begins with an S, ends with an L thing. I think that was a whole another, like, okay, we're gonna tease it, and then just another, oh shit, God, we shouldn't have tweeted that. Oh no, this is just adding fuel to the fire. Like, I think
I
there might have been one drop of it, but I don't think that's what the drop was.
mhm.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt, but
Yeah.
they still fucked
Hey,
up.
we'll find out by the end of the year.
We will find out by the end of the year, unless it's canceled, and we never find out what it is at all.
God.
And finally, gentlemen, we're here. Game of the year so far.
Mhm.
Let's start off with Emmett. Emmett, what are you thinking is the game of the year so far?
What do I think the game of the year is going to be,
Your
or what
game of the
my
year so far.
okay, my game of the year. All right. In that case, a lot of people would expect me to say one game, which would be Ratchet and Clank: A Rift Apart.
Yeah.
I beat it. I'm very close to platinuming it at this point. Ratchet and Clank's one of my favorite franchises of all time. Insomniac is just my number one developer overall. Um, of course, I love that game. The thing about it is, I expected to love that game. I expected to love Ratchet and Clank.
Right.
I loved every other Ratchet and Clank before it. Totally whelmed me. Didn't overwhelm, just whelmed me. And it's a great game still because of that, but it's not really blowing my socks off.
Okay.
There's one game I didn't even know existed going into this year that blew me the fuck away. That's Knockout City.
Oh
Ooh,
yes.
ooh, I
Knockout
can
City is
expect that.
Yeah, Knockout City is my game of the year so far. When it got announced during that Nintendo Direct, I wasn't even planning on watching that Nintendo Direct because I'm not a Nintendo guy. I was like, whatever. And what a lot of people don't know about me, dodgeball is my favorite sport. Like, in general, my favorite sport, absolutely. I was a beast at that thing in middle school and elementary school. I just love dodgeball a whole lot. So to have that game show up, I was like almost in tears when I saw that trailer because I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Who dug into my brain and took out this very specific nugget that is only something I would come up with. And not only that, it came out, it's good, and not only is it good, everyone's playing it. Like, it was like the bee's knees
Yeah.
for a while there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm it's my favorite game so far. So yeah.
it's funny that you brought that up because I'm sorry, John, but it's also my
Mhm.
game of the year so far.
Oh wow.
Like,
I'm no, I my impressions when I first saw Knockout City is
we're live with me. I remember.
ignoring the fact that they had one of the weirdest like rollout. When I actually saw the gameplay, I thought this is actually a cool idea for a video game. It's
Yeah.
like I haven't had a chance to play it yet, so I don't have any positive or negative feelings on the game
It's on
itself.
Game Pass.
but it looks like a fun time. I don't do have a PC,
There you
so
go.
I don't have Game Pass, but I could have Game
Ah,
Pass.
For a dollar,
drop a
I
five
think.
bucker.
Yeah, it should
Yeah,
be.
I think the dollar for 3 months is still going on, maybe. So yeah, try that
Oh,
out.
cool, cool.
I remember us watching this trailer and I was like, what the fuck? Why would anybody like the trailer in and of itself and that Nintendo Direct was super confusing because they had video game characters playing the game and we were so confused like what the fuck is happening? Why did you incorporate other video game characters? Like it was like a Call of Duty
Yeah,
soldier and it was so
Like a World of Warcraft orc all
yeah,
over.
it was just so weird. And then the game
the
came
the
out.
idea is like, well, you know that joke where it's like, oh, it's a bunch of like orcs and elves and they're playing a game called like cubicles and chalkboards, or
Yeah,
like we're doing what we do for normal fun. I guess that's what they were going for, but like that did not
do anything.
sell it. Like it was a cool idea, but like visually looking at it, I thought it was like a hodgepodge game, like a Smash Brothers type thing where you have like different video games characters whacking each other, not dodgeball,
Right.
the video game.
And then they did the most unexpected thing that an EA game could do. Hey, we got a free week. You can play. The game just launched. You can play free for a week. And I was like, all right, let me check it out. Let's see how it goes. And now I can't put that game down. Like
There you go.
I just was playing it before the show started, like 15 minutes before the show started, and I am itching to go back and kick some dodgeball ass.
Yeah.
It's a really good game so far. My runner-up will be Ratchet and Clank, just because perfection. Insomniac, you literally can do no wrong. Just continue doing whatever you're doing. Insomniac, I love you so much, and I'm so glad that you're making video games. Just
Amen to that.
just keep doing what you're doing. All right. If you
Yeah.
want me to play as Venom in Spider-Man 2, I don't give a shit. I'll play as Venom. If you put uh Topher Grace in Spider-Man 2 as Venom, I'll be okay with it. I don't care.
We're
Okay?
getting a little too
All I'm saying
pie in the
is
sky.
you could literally do whatever you want and I'll play it. I'll play it because I know it's going to be good.
Eminem's gonna play Venom in the next game.
Oh
All
my
right.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Oh boy. All right. Well, sounds like John, you didn't have either of those games for yours, maybe. So
No, so I don't have a PS5 yet. I'm still rocking a PS4. Part of that is just
fair.
the games that I've been most excited for this year are all coming to PS4 and are not, at least have not been advertised for having PS5 enhancements. I started the year off with Persona 5 Strikers, which was a pretty good game. I enjoyed. It was a enjoy. You know how like there's those anime movies that you walk inside and you're like, oh, this villain's never gonna show up again. None of this is canon. But then by the end, they're like doing a super move they're never gonna use again, and you're just like, this is so hype. I'm so into this. That's what
Yeah.
Persona 5 Strikers is. It's really fun. You get to see your favorite characters in an action game this time, so there's that enhancement to it. But ultimately, it's just like, oh, we get to see the characters on a summer vacation, and that's fun. Um, I played the Near Replicant remake, which is pretty good. It's less of a remake than a visual remaster. Still working off of a lot of the original game code.
Yeah.
But they heavily improved the battle system. There's an additional section in the middle of the game that's just completely brand new, based on one of the novels. It was intended to be in the
Huh.
original game, but they ran out of time, so then they just plugged it back in for this one.
Is it the forest section?
No, that was always part of the game. It's the boat, the mermaid section.
Oh, okay, okay. I know the section you're talking about. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah, that part. They released like a novel like 2 years after the game came out, and that was in the novel, and so that's new to this version of the game. Um, I enjoyed it. It's just that it does the what near because it came before Near Automata, but both of them do a thing where you have to replay it a couple times to see new additional sections. Near Automata makes that more rewarding, while by the time you start your third replay, the game is like exactly the same minus a couple parts in the middle that are different,
Yeah.
and then it's not until the very ending that things start shifting. Um, so the third game that I've played,
Ooh, can
and
I
this is
say something
my
about Nier real quick?
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Because I actually played a lot of Nier Replicant. I was really looking forward to that one. Nier Automata is one of my top 10 games of all time. So, like,
Same
really
here.
looking forward to it. And I had a similar problem with you to where, because, like, I'm not a big fan of long games.
Yeah.
Once your game's going past, like, 10, 15, 20 hours, I'm like, all right, it better be really good if I'm going to keep playing. And Replicant is starting to have that problem to where I was fine with the combat for a while, but it isn't quite Platinum Games combat. It's not quite as dynamic. It's not quite as like visually flared. It's just not that much to it. The RPG mechanics are way toned down in this game compared to Automata.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's less rewarding to play the game over and over again to the point where I think I beat it twice and I'm halfway through the third playthrough, knowing that I have to get all of the weapons this playthrough. I have to do so much stuff in order to beat the game. And then once I beat the game this time, I still got to like go back and get the second ending as well so that I can finally get all of that and then beat it another time with all those endings to finally see everything this game has to offer. It's just like it's so much. I know I still have another
Yeah,
20 hours ahead of me, so it's just like so daunting. I want to get back
it's
to it for end of the year, but man, it's a lot.
once the good news is that on your third playthrough, all you have to do is get all the weapons before you go into that final dungeon, and then just make the choices from there. The bad news is that there's a new ending specific to this game that
Hmm.
is more rewarding for you since you've already played Nier Automata. It like ties into that a bit, and it involves starting the game from scratch and going all the way to the second time you face that boss in the area
In the
with
library.
Kaine.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
no, no, no. The as a kid, like you start
Oh,
from when you were a kid again, and then you go to the second time you fight the boss with Kaine.
oh my god. For context
And
for people listening, half the game you play as a kid, the other half you play as an adult, and when you do new playthroughs, you start as an adult. So you're telling me I have to do another playthrough where I play through the whole child section again.
no, 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 just the first 3 hours as a child, which is I'm not gonna pretend that that is
Yeah.
better. Um,
Okay.
if you're a
Well,
nerd like me, like you notice some things that the game was doing the entire time that you might not have been paying attention to the first time. Um, like you notice how enemies behave at the very beginning before the world gets messed up, and you're like, "Oh, that's interesting. I just wasn't paying attention to that."
mhm.
It's not worth the 3 hours, but then like the new section is like an additional 3 hours that is more tied into Nier Automata and tied into like what happens to these characters afterwards, and it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Um, but also you can just watch stuff like that on YouTube if that's a problem. I'm not gonna pretend like with the
Yeah.
Automata, I was the entire time like, no, you got to play it 3 times. The first 2 times, the second time you play it kind of sucks. The third time it's all new and you'll love it. I'm not like that with Replicant. I'm like, if you might want to get to the end of that third ending, but if by the end of that you just want to watch the rest on YouTube, I do not blame you.
I'll debate it. I'll at least finish it one more time and see how I feel about it. But yeah, that's a problem for future Emmett. But in
Yeah,
any case, your
I
next
get
game.
you.
I was
Hmm.
so excited for this game, and I haven't even beaten. I think I've only played like 2 hours of it, and
Oh my god.
it's just like I just fell off of it. Like I think the next game that came out after that was, I don't even remember. It was some big game that came out next, and I was just
Probably
like,
Returnal.
nah, I haven't
Yeah.
played Returnal yet, so it could
Oh,
have
Oh, okay.
been,
it
yeah.
might have been Resident Evil 8.
I still haven't
Yeah.
played that game yet.
Because oh, then never mind. Oh right, you don't like scary games.
Yeah, no. There was something that came out. I think it could have been Knockout City, but I could be wrong. or I just
Also,
got.
yeah, those came out like same 2 weeks.
Yeah, so once Knockout City came in, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna put you
Mhm.
away for now. Let's continue playing
So
dodgeball.
so it's not my game of the year. I like it a lot. I think it does a lot of really cool things. There is a reason I have learned that there is a reason beyond the graphics and beyond the combat why Automata blew up so much more than Replicant
Yes.
did. I still got the $200 super expensive version that comes with the soundtrack in the shape of the book of the game. So like I love it, but I also
Wow.
understand why some people don't. But so other than that, the game that I've been mostly excited about this year, I've been going through best reviewed games of the year, and I gotta say, my game of the year so far, and it's gonna be a weird one just like you guys, because I don't have a PS5, Guilty Gear Strive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guilty
Expected.
Gear Strive is the game that I am. Part of it is also the games I'm excited for are I just haven't played yet. I'm really excited for the World Ends with You sequel.
Yeah.
We're getting a 2D Metroid game. We're getting a remake of Advance Wars. I'm so hyped about those. I have not played those. Those games do not exist. They are not out yet. So the game that I've been most happy about is Guilty Gear Strive. It is the sequel to a game with a very frustrating title, Guilty Gear Exard Rev 2.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, yeah. So with Guilty Gear, the first game kind of sucked. So then they kind of remade it and called it Guilty Gear X, and then the sequel to that game was Guilty Gear XX. So the third game had to be Guilty Gear Triple X. That sounds kind of porny. Exard, it's the Xrd game, and then
Wow.
they made two revisions. So the second one was called Rev 2 after the first one, which was Revelator. Um, but Guilty Gear Strive, I was initially skeptical about it because it slows things down a lot more from compared to Rev 2. And I was never really good at Rev 2, but I did like that there were a lot of characters that could just like jump all over the screen, or air dashes were super fast. They have a thing called Gatling buttons where it's basically if you press like punch kick slash like really quickly, it'll always cancel into each other. You don't got to worry about one being too slow to go into the next one. Um, in this game, the punch and kick moves will go into each other, but they won't go into the heavier moves. So you can't start really long combos from really fast buttons. You have to commit with buttons that are a little slower and easier to punish. But now that I've been playing it for about 30 hours or so, it's become clear that a lot of these changes of slowing things down were to make things more visually apparent. So,
Hmm.
a thing that like pro players have been complaining about is if you're about to use an attack and someone uses a button that interrupts it, because of hitboxes or whatever, there will be a giant counter across the screen, and the game will slow down for like a second and a half, and it's basically saying, "Hey, you did something really cool. You should do something really cool to follow that up. Now that you got a turn, it's your turn." And I, as someone who's I'm not super good, I played a lot of Rev 2, but I didn't like practice a lot. I just kind of lost a bunch of against much better people.
I
I'm
feel that.
sort of getting a better visual feedback of when I'm supposed to be acting out, when I'm supposed to be holding back. Um, and I do find that more enjoyable as someone who doesn't really have a lot of time to just spend hours testing everything in training mode, which is what I hear like people who like play on a high level do. Is they'll just be like, okay, so this button beats this button, but what if I use this button? What if I do this move? What if I do an air dash? What if I go backwards? And that's not as fun to me as just like playing against people. Um, and then one of the things that this game does really cool is that its ranked mode presents you with a tower, and it's got 10 floors,
Yeah.
technically 11 floors. Um, and first, it'll have you fight a computer-controlled opponent, and depending on what you do with that, it'll put you at in one of the 10 floors. I ended up in
Hmm.
six, so just like a little bit above average. And when you get ranked at a certain floor, you are locked out from all the floors under it.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh,
that
Yeah. Yeah.
means everyone you
yeah, you're
fight
getting
is at
better.
least your level or better.
Yeah.
And you can't go down and be like, I'm gonna get some easy kills on the level 1 boys. The game won't let you do that.
Yeah.
So I think that's really cool. Combined with the fact that this game has really good netcode, unlike a lot of other fighting games. So even if I'm fighting someone who's at my level, but like all the way in Florida, I'm not gonna have network issues like I would if I was playing Rev 2, which used an older version of netcode that was based on delays and made everything take longer. It was harder to punish moves that way. Um, but then that also leads to some cool moments where like I'll beat someone, and normally you get to play 3 matches against someone before it says that's all you get. Try to fight someone else.
Right.
If you beat them on the first or second match, sometimes it'll say, "Oh, you can't rematch them because you just kicked them to the lower floor." So then I just get like that Kazuya feeling from the Smash
Oh.
trailer where you like pick someone and you're like banished to floor 4. um, or alternatively, it's like, oh, you've just gone up a floor, and then it's like you've like ascended to another level. So the reason why there's like 10 floors and then technically 11 is that once you get to the 10th floor, before you can go into the 11th floor, you have to win, I want to say 5 matches in a row.
Yeah.
Because the 11th floor is called the Celestial Realm. It is the heaven where the pro players fight.
Okay.
So literally, compared to all the rest of the floors, there is a much more critical. It is much more critical about how many losses you get in a row. So you want to keep your win-loss ratio at least even to stay up there. Because so here's the fun part: if you get kicked out of heaven, you don't go back to floor 10. You go to hell,
Right.
which is
Oh.
technically a 12th floor below level 1.
Oh God.
So it sounds frightening, but the thing is, you can only go to hell if you're kicked out of heaven.
Right.
So it's still technically just people of the same level, and even if you like whoop like people 2 or 3 times in a row on like floor 1, it'll kick you like right up to 2, right up to 3. Like you won't
Okay,
have
so
to
you skip
play
everything.
a ton of matches in each rank.
Yeah.
But if you're like in hell and then you like beat 3 or 4 people in a row, it'll take you right back to like 8 or 9.
Okay.
So like you can also just skip like before like donking on like level 1 people at all. It's a really fascinating system, and all of this sound like I really like how it works in terms of like keeping people who just kind of want to go in and push buttons and just play like on the weekends after work. They can stay between like level 1 through 4. People who are like really sweaty and really into like getting super good will get up to those 8s, 9s in the heavens. The one issue is that it's not based on like random matchmaking like most games are.
Yeah.
You end up in a lobby that is looks like a hotel room with like a bunch of desks that have like 2 slots in them, and you just kind of walk up to one of them, enter one slot, and then you wait for a second person to walk up and enter.
Okay.
And
Arcade machines.
Yeah.
yeah. For some reason, like they did that in Rev 2 and some of their other fighting games, and they don't want to do it for this one for some reason. In the betas, they didn't even have the stations. You just walked up to someone and tried to fight them, and if you weren't like near the middle, it would say no, you're not allowed for some reason. So you'll get into situations where like you'll try to fight someone, and like all the people that aren't in fights are like AFK. So then there's just someone standing that's not at a station. They might be in front of it, but they're not like locked into it. And then you just won't fight them. And then on top of that, to solve that problem, they have a situation where like you'll lock in, and then if after like 20 seconds no one shows up, it'll just start putting you in um uh random other people's stations. So if like there's part of it is that you're not all in the same instance. Each instance can only fit like up to 32 players.
Yeah.
So there's like
different servers.
20 floor 5, so to speak.
Okay.
So sometimes I might see someone pop up and then try to match with them, and then they're already in another floor.
Yeah.
Because of that. So it's got some problems in that way. But I just find it really fun to learn how this game works. Every character is unique. I've been playing Chip which is a ninja that can jump 3 times, and he can make a clone of him, a shadow clone Naruto style of himself. There's a character named Ramlethal who just has 2 big giant swords that cover up half the screen,
Yeah.
and so people will just like walk up halfway close to you and just like giant sword, second
Jesus.
giant sword. Um, it's a really fun time. It's not perfect, but I just haven't had a lot of time to play anything else since I've been moving in earlier on in the year. My work schedule was just really messed up.
Yeah.
But that my favorite game of the year and my personal game of the year so far.
Okay. All right.
Mm.
Damn.
Respect it.
Very respectful.
The one last problem, there's just not a lot of single player options. You got an arcade mode for each character. They do a cool thing where like if you beat the first character, then when you get to the last character, the first one will join you. And so it'll be you and an AI partner against the boss character who's the vampire samurai in the game.
I've heard that
Um
character.
yeah, he's really cool. But other than that, there's a survival mode where you just play the game until you die against the computer, and like you retain the same amount of health from match to match. So if you get like one hit and then you have only 90%, you have it that left. If in your first match you're down to like 20%, you got to figure out a way to survive with that. But other than those 2 modes, that's it. The story mode is just a 10 episode anime series that you just hit play and you watch and you pause and you get a soda and then you keep watching it. It's about 5 hours long, and that's the story mode. It's pretty fun, but like you also kind of like it assumes you know everything about Guilty Gear
Right.
as well. Like I watched like one of those 4 hour like compilation things, and they're like, so this is what happens at the end of Exerd Rev 2. And then I start the new one, and then they're like talking about what just happened in Rev 2 and talking about these boss characters that aren't playable in the game. And I'm just like, okay. So this is definitely not a game for like if you're just the person that goes into Mortal Kombat and plays the story mode. This game wants you to play against other people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Well then.
Yeah.
Hey man, it's hardcore.
It's very specific. It knows what it's focusing on, and it doesn't try to focus on anything other than its strengths, I guess. But it's fun.
All right.
Yeah,
Cool.
I heard Blessing Jr. over at Kind of Funny talk a lot about it, so I've been interested. But now that you're talking about it, I still don't know if I'm gonna like go out and play it. But if
Right.
it comes on PlayStation Plus or something, I might give it a shot.
Exactly. I'll have to give it a shot.
Yeah,
I've been
yeah,
known to enjoy
it's
fighting games sometimes.
yeah. If it's on a sale, that's like at a price point where you don't mind jumping in. Definitely check that out. I think the season pass is like $24 for it. It comes with 5 characters. Each character, I forgot the most important part of the game. Each character is gonna also come with a new stage and a new song, because this fighting game is also a like
About music.
15-song rock album.
Yeah.
Uh, it's really good.
Wow.
Every character's theme has lyrics, and like a bunch of them do the Queen thing where there's like different sections of a song, and then the last like 30 seconds it's like a piano and the guy singing like a soulful like sad song moment.
Yeah.
It's
No wonder Bless likes this. He's a music hound.
Yeah.
if you I would argue that you can get a like 30% experience of the game just by listening to the soundtrack on YouTube. And that's
Okay.
that's not saying the game's bad. That's saying the soundtrack is that good.
Okay.
Hmm.
All right. We'll have
Alright.
to check it out. We're getting a little too long in the show, so let's do some plugs. Jesus Christ! Oh my God! I keep clicking buttons and messing up the screen. John, where can people find you?
I'm at Noisy Shark on Twitter. I'm in between a bunch of stuff, but once I'm moved out and settled at my new place, I should be start coming out with stuff soon.
Okay. Emmett, where can people find you?
You can find me, EJ Spun61, on all places on the internet. Unless you're on Twitch, you got to add an underscore after it. So, yeah, EJ Spun61 on just about everything. VGU.tv is the website. That's where you can find the Players Club podcast, which I do every week. and all the other writing and stuff I do. I'll say one thing: for people who have been following me, I started a Keeping It 100 podcast last year, which was me going through my top 100 games and finally getting them into a ranked order. I'm starting to work on that video again for the finale. So by the end of this year, likely you should be able to look forward to that. That's what I did all day today. I've just been writing the video script for that because I
Jesus.
wrote the article. I had to transfer it into a video script so I can make it into an actual video. So yeah, that 10,000 word monster is done and
Oof.
the real work begins.
Okay.
Good luck,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, it's a lot, but I think it'll be worth it at the end.
What's number
Just gotta
100?
get to the end.
What's number 100?
Honestly, I'll tell you right now, I still got the tab open.
Okay.
Number 100. People are gonna hate me for this. Number 100, Portal 2.
Ooh. See, I've played so many video games throughout the years that like I'm just happy to see a list have my favorite games on it. Like,
Yeah.
oh no, it's the 100th best game of all time.
It's still
I'm
a
like,
good game.
that means that there's 99 games out there better than Portal 2.
It's
Let's
still
go.
a good game. At least it
That's
made
amazing.
the list. It made the list.
Mhm.
I
That's
can't
all that
believe
matters.
that. There's so many good video games out there in the world these days.
To
But
find
that
out
that lets you know the energy that I'm going to with this list. So yeah.
yeah, to find out what's number 1, where should they go?
If you want to find out what's number 1, just stay tuned to the Twitter, EJSpun61, VGU.tv. I'll be putting it up on their YouTube channel once the entire thing is done in a couple months. So that's where you're going to want to go. But yeah, VGU.tv/ my Twitter. I'll tweet about it. You'll find out about it.
Okay.
We'll do a whole live event thing.
Sounds good. And of course, you can find me at That Guy Tuesday on Twitter. You could find me here tomorrow at 5:00. We are live streaming our reactions to Sony's State of Play on Deathloop and some indies. So we'll see about that.
Here's hoping it's good.
Do we really need to see more Deathloop? No, but I get it.
No.
It's a whole thing. I understand how marketing works. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me. Have a wonderful night.
Adios.